Hi mathematicians, so we are getting started with lesson number 23 today. Tomorrow, Friday, will be our last math lesson in Module 5. There's 24 math lessons, so after Memorial Day break, we will be working in Module 6, and you guys are so close to the end. I'm so proud of all the great math work we've been doing. So far this week, we have worked on the dot cards every day to start off our math class. We did 7s, 8s, and then yesterday we did 9s. So today we're actually going back to the beginning and we're doing 6 today. I kind of jumped around a little bit. So first, remember, we always look at it. I just told you how many, but just double check them. Is Tracy didn't accidentally sneak in a 7 or sneak in an 8 or sneak in a 9. So check the total amount, and then how do you see, because you might see different than me, how do you see the parts to make that total? So remember, parts are like two groups. When we're working on our number bonds, the parts together, these are our parts, come together to make the whole. So if the whole is 7, what parts made that 7? If the whole is 8, what parts made 8? If the whole is 9, what parts made 9? Today, if the whole is 6, what made that 6? What came together to make 6? So let's get started. So let's look, think, what is the total number, and then how do you see it? How do you see two groups here, two parts here? So this one seems pretty clear to me. I think maybe a lot of you would think the same thing. I see 4 and 2. So 4 and 2 make 6. Awesome. Okay, let's see what the next one's like. Okay, so let's change it different directions. Maybe the different directions will inspire something different. So look, think, how many do you see in total, the total number of dots? And now, how do you see two parts? This one seems pretty clear to me, just like the last one. I really see this group of 5 and then this one by itself. 5 and 1 makes 6, or 1 and 5 makes 6. Yeah, and even if you switch it around, it still seems pretty divided up. So I think 5 and 1 makes 6. Okay, what do we see here? Now there may be a couple different things that you see here. So we're checking the total. Yep, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, still 6. But how do you see two parts to make 6? Now maybe you see 3 on the bottom, 3 on the top. 3 and 3 make 6. Or maybe you see 6 and 0 makes 6. Both are great. Both are right answers, right? Okay, now this one's a bit more of a crazy picture. So let's check the amounts first. Yep, there's 6 there. The total is 6. Now, how do you see the two parts? Well, maybe you want to do these 3 and these 3, or maybe you want to do 5 and 1, or maybe you want to do 2 and 4. There's all different ways. This one looks 5 and 1 again. So what do you see? Think about it. What parts do you see? Because remember, these parts together could be added up to make 6. 3 plus 3 equals 6. 5 plus 1 equals 6. If we change it this way, maybe we see something different. All different angles, okay? And the last card, how many is the total, and how do you see two parts? Maybe it changes if you do it this way. Maybe you see these 2 and then that 4. 2 plus 4 equals 6. Or maybe you see 3 and 3 make 6. So look at it and you figure out how you see two parts. Because remember, you might see something different. You might see a different way to add it. Everyone has a little bit of a different vision. But remember, the total is staying the same. It has to make 6 because that's the total number of dots. Okay, awesome job, guys. So the next thing is actually to prepare for our last lesson. So you have these 3 pages in your template folder. And if you look, it actually says lesson 24 template because you're going to use them tomorrow. But I just wanted to point them out. So for tomorrow's class, before you come to school, so that's why it's part of today's lesson, is you should cut, and we've been practicing our cutting skills, right? We cut out, not in, thumb on the top, using your helper hand to hold the paper. So I need you to cut these cards out, and I really want you, the student, not the adult, to cut it, because it's really important that we work on cutting our shapes out. And these ones are pretty straight lines to cut out. It shouldn't be too hard. They're kind of square-like with rounded corners, rounded edges. So you'll need to cut out these cards just like this, and then save them for tomorrow because we're going to do a matching activity. We've done similar things to this earlier in the school year, especially with numbers less than 10. So if you noticed, these are all of our teen numbers: 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and then these are the domino cards that will match with them. So I want you, after this lesson, kind of like part of your homework, is to get these out, cut them, so that way they are ready for Friday's math lesson, lesson 24, our last lesson. Okay, does that make sense to everyone? Anyone have any questions, let me know. But just cut them out, put them in a safe space to save them for tomorrow, and then we will do some matching work with our teen numbers. Remember that the dots, even though they don't have a number written, they still represent a number. There's still a value here. It's just a different way to represent a number. Just like you could spell it, you could write it as a numeral, you could do domino dots, all different ways. So don't forget to cut these out for tomorrow. Okay, awesome. So we are moving on to our next activity. And our next activity is going to use our magnet chips, which work perfect because they've been working great on our board and everyone can see them and they're sticking really nicely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some magnet chips out for us. These are the ones we're going to use right now. Okay, so I put all these magnet chips in a row, just like that. Now, I want you to count with me so we can figure out how many magnet chips there are. So count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Great. There's 12 magnet chips. So if you want to do this along with me, you could just draw maybe 12 red boxes or 12 red circles, and you could have the same thing that I'm looking at. Now, let's draw a number bond for this. So I'm making my number bond. Now, we don't have 2 parts here yet, right? They're all just smushed together. But we know the total, we just counted it, right? 12. Now, our question is, how would we break this into 2 parts? Just like with our 6 dots that we did today, and yesterday 9, and the day before that 8 and 7, we're looking at this, our dots. How would we break that up? How do you see a way to break it up? There's more than one way for sure, but there's one way that we've really been focused on. So what way would you break it up? I think a good way to break it up would be 10 and 2, because we've really been focusing on making the group of 10 first and then building up from that. So how would I write this as a number sentence? So remember, a number sentence is a math equation. So if I put my 10 and 2 in my number bonds, just so we can keep it organized, 12 equals 10 plus 2. There's 12 dots, and I could break it into 10 plus 2. But it's very confusing for me a little bit still because it's just one big row. How can I show that it's 10 and 2? Now, maybe if you're drawing it on your paper, you could circle your two groups, right? Or in this case, I could just move it over, right? And if I wanted, I could circle. So here's my group of 10, and here's my group of 2. Now it's more clear, right? Think of those cards, like the ones we're looking at today for 6. A lot of them have a space to divide it, right? It makes it a little more clear that this is one group and this is one group. It helps define the areas. So we could put a space between the 10 and the 2s. Then you can see the parts more easily. Now, is there another way that we could write this math sentence, this math equation? Yes, we could write 10 plus 2 equals 12. Same information, right? Just written in a different format. So now, let's keep going with this concept. And I want you to grab this template. This was for today. It says Lesson 23 template, page 299. And you'll see some geese, which is a coincidence since yesterday we read, since we're working on the Goosey story about the gosling who lost her red shoes this week, her red boots, and then some pigs. So it's a farm. So get this paper and let's look at it. So I'll stick it right there and I'll move the board a little bit closer so you guys can see my work a little bit better. You might notice on the paper that there is a number bond already drawn for you and some little lines, some dashed lines there. And that's for our math equation, just like we did underneath our red dots. So think for a minute. These are actually parallel information. The red dots are instead of the geese and the pigs, or the pigs and the geese are instead of the red dots. We have a number bond to fill in, and we have a math sentence to write. So it's the same information. This one's just using farm pictures instead of the red dots that I used. So now that we have definitely set ourselves up, grab that paper and grab a writing tool. So let's do a different problem at the farm. Look at the picture and let's think about what we see. So now we're focused on this farm picture. What do we see? We know there's geese, we know there's pigs, we already spotted the number bond and a space to write our sentence. So there are how many geese? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm going to circle this just like I circled my 10 dots. And I'm even going to write 10 here, just in case I forget. So there are 10 geese, and let's see how many pigs there are. 1, 2, 3. 3 pigs. It's easy to see the parts here, right? Because there's 2 different animals. It makes it really clear, geese versus pigs. Now, what are some ways you could put the 2 parts together? Well, we have our number bond and we have our math sentence. So let's do a number bond. So we have the total number. Did we figure that out yet? I haven't. I've only figured out the parts. So I'm going to start by filling in the parts. 10 geese and 3 pigs. Now, 10, 3. I'm not sure what that makes. Let me use my hide 0 cards to help me. So here's the 10 for my geese. And here's the 3 for my pigs. So 10 geese, 3 pigs, 3 pigs. Now, remember, the 3 pigs hides the 0 in 10. 10, 3 is 13. So now I know the total and can write it in the box. 13. So now that I wrote my number bond, I can write my math sentence, my number sentence. Now we can do it 2 different ways, right? We could start with the total or we could end with the total. So I'll write it both ways for you to see. So first I'll write 10 plus, don't forget to draw your plus sign, 3 equals 13. Now the total's in the back in this math problem. It starts by telling us the parts. 10 geese and 3 pigs equals 13 farm animals. Now if I want to reverse it, I could start with the total first. There are 13 animals at this farm. The 13 equals 10 geese plus 3 pigs. Awesome. Now we don't have, this is pretty separated. Everything looks good now. Okay, guys. So next is, this was a short lesson today since we're wrapping it up. It is time for our problem set. So grab your problem set paper. And this one has a lot of word problems in it. If you notice, we didn't do a word problem today because there's quite a few in here. So grab Lesson 23 problem set, page 294. So let's work through some of these together because there's a lot of reading. So I think I'm going to try to do all of these math problems with you today. Okay, so here's the first one. So I'm going to start, and you work in the space right here, okay? This is the first problem, and it's about someone named Robin. So remember, we do word problems all the time. We did the word problem about Lisa and Matt with their pennies, and we drew them with pennies in their hands and pennies in their pockets. We did colored pencils versus regular pencils, and we figured out how many pencils there were in total, how many were colored and how many were regular. We do all different word problems, and sometimes we make them fun about the holidays and the seasons, right? We did some Sukkot word problems, and we did some Passover word problems about matzah and all different fun things. So, Robin sees 5 apples in a bag and 10 apples in a bowl. Draw a picture to show how many apples there are. So, Robin sees 5 apples in a bag. So, I'm going to start by drawing my bag. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 apples in a bag. And she sees 10 apples in a bowl. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Draw a picture to show how many apples there are. So, hopefully if you're working along with me, you drew a bag of 5 apples and you drew a bowl of 10 apples. So there's 5 in here and 10 in here. Write a number bond and an addition sentence to match your picture. So we know what the parts are, right? 5 in the bag and 10 in the bowl. So fill that in. Now, the total is missing. What is the total number of apples that Robin sees? That's the bag and the bowl together. So think on that for a minute and then fill in your answer. 15. 10, 5 is 15. 10 apples plus 5 apples equals 15 apples. Now let's write our math sentence. So I'm going to write 15 equals 10 plus 5. You could also write 5 plus 10 equals 15, right? There's different ways to write it. Just make sure you're using the addition symbol and the equal symbol. and that they're the correct way, right? You could do the total in the front with the parts behind it, or you could do the parts in the front with the total in the back. Okay, let's go to the next question. Sam has 13 toy trucks. Draw and show the trucks as 10 ones and some ones. So they want you to organize this one a little bit better. Now remember, when we're doing math drawings, do you have to draw what they say in the story? No. You could draw a symbol to represent it. Maybe an X, maybe a square, maybe a circle. Or if you do want to draw it, you could just do an Ishley drawing, right? It doesn't have to be a perfect truck. It could just be a simple truck. I think trucks might be a little bit tricky to draw, so I'm just going to do an X to represent these trucks. If you want to draw something more elaborate, that's awesome. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I drew my 10 trucks to make one clear group of 10 in the 5 groups way. But I needed 13. So I still need my ones. 1, 2, 3. So I have 10, 3 makes 13. Now write a number bond and addition sentence to match your picture. So I know that I just said there's 13 trucks because that was the total in the story. And now I have my parts. Part 1 and part 2. Part 1 is 10. Part 2 is 3. 10, 3 is 13. Now let's write our math sentence. 13 equals 10 plus 3. We started with the total in our story, so that would be the best way to write that math sentence. You could also write 10 trucks plus 3 trucks equals 13 trucks. So I'll give you a second to finish up the story on Robin and Sam, and then I'll turn to the next page so that I can keep helping you guys through some of these word problems. Okay, I think that should be enough time for everyone who is finishing up. Of course, you can always pause the video if you're still working and need a little bit more time. That's not a problem at all. Okay, so the next problem on the second page, page 295, says, our class has 16 bags of popcorn. Draw and show the popcorn as 10 ones and some ones. So that's what we had to do with our truck drawing. So we need to make a group of 10 and the ones. So 16 in total. So I'm going to draw, some rectangles because that's kind of popcorn bag shape. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now I need to make a space. I need to separate it a little bit so I can see that my group of 10 and my ones, so it's clear. So I'm up to 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Our class has 16 bags of popcorn. Draw and show the popcorn bags as 10 ones and some ones. So finish up drawing your bags of popcorn. Maybe you want to do like little bumps up here so it looks like the popcorn is like overflowing. Maybe this class has just earned like a little popcorn party. Yummy. Okay. Now, part 2. Write a number bond and an addition sentence to match your picture about the popcorn, the bags of popcorn. So, we know that our class had a total number of 16 bags of popcorn. So that's the total. We knew the total to start. Now we're determining the parts to make 16. So one part is going to be our group of 10. What's our second part? 10 and what makes 16? Yes, 6. 10 and 6 make 16. 10, 6, 16. Now let's write our adding sentence. 16 equals 10 plus 6. Just like how we wrote 13 equals 10 plus 3, 15 equals 10 plus 5, 16 equals 10 plus 6. Now if you want to write the math problem with the parts in the front, you would write 10 bags of popcorn plus 6 bags of popcorn equals 16 bags of popcorn. Awesome. So now we've done 3 stories. We did a story about Robin and apples. We did a story about Sam and his toy trucks. And we did a story about a class eating popcorn. So I'll do the next page too. So this is our 4th word problem. So many word problems today. Word problems are so great because a lot of you can even practice rereading these math problems using your reading skills. This is where reading and math come together. So there are 12 balls. Draw and show the balls as 10 ones and some ones. So balls, I'm just going to make a circle shape. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This time I did one big row of 10. I mixed it up a little bit. 10, 11, 12. So we have 10, 2 to make 12. 10, 11, 12. Write a number bond to match your story. So we know there's 12 balls. And we have our parts. 10 and is our first part. Our second part is 2. 10, 2 makes 12. And now let's write our addition sentence to match the number bond. 12 equals 10 plus 2. 12 equals 10 plus 2. I'll show you both ways in case you want to write 10 balls plus 2 balls equals 12 balls. Awesome. That is a lot of work. So if you did all of that, kudos. Awesome work. There are 2 additional pages if you want to keep working on it. This one says Bob bought 7 sprinkled donuts and 10 chocolate donuts. Draw and show the donuts. So you need 7 sprinkle and 10 chocolate. And then you write your math sentence, your addition sentence, and then your number bond. I'll read the story one more time. Bob bought 7 sprinkled donuts and 10 chocolate donuts. Okay? And then the last page, if you're going to do this one also, says Fran has 17 baseball cards. Show Fran's baseball cards as 10 ones and some ones. And then like we did on all of our stories, write your math sentence and your number bond. And just one more time, it says Fran has 17 baseball cards. Show Fran's baseball cards as 10 ones and some ones. So also, if you guys are tired of doing this, maybe just save these papers. You can check them out later. Our lesson for Friday is actually a really, really short lesson, so maybe you want to save those last 2 pages for tomorrow. Whatever you guys need to do is awesome, and you guys are doing such great work, and I'm so excited to be almost done with Module 5. Okay, see you tomorrow.